King Baldwin of Jerusalem, an honor to meet you in my study, though I confess the circumstances are most unusual. Here sits a leper king who held the Holy Land against impossible odds, while disease consumed his body daily. You ruled through pain that would have broken lesser men, yet maintained the dignity of crown and cross. I sense in you a soul familiar with difficult choices, with burdens that cannot be shared or set aside.
Headmaster Dumbledore, your office speaks of learning and magic, things my world barely understood. Yet here you are, an old man burdened with secrets and surrounded by the weight of others' expectations. We both wore masks, did we not? You behind that grandfatherly facade, me behind cloth and metal. Both of us carrying knowledge that isolates us from those we sought to protect. What wisdom have you found in bearing such loneliness?
Loneliness is perhaps the price of leadership, especially when that leadership requires us to see further than those we guide. I made choices that cost many lives because I believed I could see the greater pattern, the longer path to victory. You fought holy wars while preaching peace, killed in God's name while seeking salvation. How did you reconcile such contradictions within your faith? Did you ever doubt that your path served heaven's purpose?
Doubt would have been luxury I could not afford. When Jerusalem's survival hung on every decision, when Christian pilgrims depended on my sword to reach holy sites safely, doubt became indulgence. Yes, I killed for God while preaching love, but sometimes love requires steel to protect what matters most. You speak of greater patterns. Did you never question whether your grand designs justified the suffering they caused to individuals?
I'm curious about your relationship with death, knowing it approached daily through your disease. You ruled with the certainty that your time was limited, yet you maintained hope for your kingdom's future. How did facing your own mortality shape your decisions as king? Did knowing death was near make you more careful with the lives of others, or more willing to spend them?
The moment I put on the mask to hide my rotting face from those who needed to see their king as strong and whole. Leadership demands we become symbols rather than men, and symbols cannot afford human weakness or uncertainty. But your choices puzzle me. You allowed a child to grow up unloved, then revealed his destiny as sacrifice. How is that different from child soldiers in my crusades?
Harry's sacrifice saved everyone, while your knights died for territory that would eventually fall anyway. I shaped Harry's life toward a purpose that transcended politics. The defeat of ultimate evil. You sent men to die for land that changed hands regardless of their sacrifice. When you look back, do you believe Jerusalem was worth the rivers of blood spilled to hold it?
They died for something eternal, the chance for Christian souls to walk where Christ walked. That purpose transcends any individual life, including their own. But you fascinate me with your faith in love conquering death. When you sent Harry to face Voldemort, knowing he would likely die, what convinced you that sacrifice would triumph where force had failed?
Voldemort split his soul through murder, making himself less than human, while Harry's soul remained whole through love and sacrifice. Dark magic cannot understand love's power, cannot account for someone choosing death to save others. But your situation was different. You faced a human enemy in Saladin, brilliant but mortal. Did you ever consider peace over war?
Peace was always the goal, but peace without strength invites conquest. Saladin was indeed brilliant and honorable, more honorable than many Christian lords. But he sought to reclaim lands his people considered sacred, just as we defended lands we held sacred. Sometimes there is no path between opposing truths except through blood. What would you have done if Voldemort had offered to share power rather than seek total domination?
I would have refused, as you refused Saladin's offers of tribute and treaty. Some compromises corrupt everything they touch, but I'm troubled by your comparison to child soldiers. Even Anakin Skywalker was given choice about his path, however manipulated. When you sent young knights to die, did you see individuals or merely pieces on a board? How did you live with using their youth and faith for political ends?
Every knight who died was someone's son, someone's hope for the future. I felt each loss personally because I knew my commands sent them to their graves. But Anakin Skywalker was manipulated by evil toward darkness, while my knights chose to serve God and King. The comparison isn't fair. I offered them honor and salvation, while Palpatine offered only power and corruption.
I justified them as necessary preparation for an impossible task. Every lie bought him time to develop the strength of character he would need to choose sacrifice willingly. But you're right about the cost. I robbed him of childhood innocence to preserve his ability to love. Looking back, do you believe there was another way to hold Jerusalem without so much bloodshed? Could diplomacy have achieved what war could not?
Diplomacy only works when both sides want peace more than victory. Saladin wanted Jerusalem restored to Muslim control. We wanted it to remain Christian. No compromise could satisfy both needs. But you had magical power that could have ended your war instantly. Why choose the slow path of manipulation over direct action? What made you think Harry's suffering was preferable to your own decisive strike?
Power without wisdom becomes tyranny, and I had already learned that lesson with Grindelwald. If I had simply killed Voldemort through superior force, what would stop the next Dark Wizard from arising? Harry's victory through love created a different kind of precedent, showed that hatred ultimately defeats itself. But perhaps you faced a similar choice: end the war quickly through overwhelming force, or fight it properly through honorable means.
Honor mattered because we fought for God's approval, not just military victory. A dishonorable triumph would have corrupted our cause, made us no better than bandits wearing crosses. Every battle had to be fought with righteousness, even when righteousness made victory harder. Perhaps that's what we truly shared, the understanding that how we win matters as much as whether we win.
The means shape the end as much as our intentions do. We both chose harder paths because easier ones would have corrupted what we sought to protect. Your knights died with honor defending sacred ground. Harry lived through love defeating ultimate evil. Neither outcome was guaranteed, but both were worth the terrible cost we paid to achieve them.
The cost was terrible, but the alternative was unthinkable. Jerusalem fallen, the Holy Land lost, pilgrims murdered or enslaved. Your alternative was worse, Voldemort triumphant, the magical world enslaved, countless innocents tortured or killed. We both chose to bear the weight of necessary suffering rather than allow preventable catastrophe.
That is what defines true leadership, the willingness to carry burdens that would crush ordinary men, to make choices that isolate us from the very people we serve. The crown and the greater good both demand sacrifices that can never be fully explained or justified to those who benefit from them.
That is our only comfort, that we were willing to bear those burdens when others could not. History will judge whether our choices were wise, but it cannot question whether they were necessary. Someone had to decide, someone had to act, someone had to pay the price. Better us than those we swore to protect.